All right, so this last one is going to be a little bit different here. I wanted to actually kind of just go through the last couple of points. There's several pages left of script, but I don't feel like everything really deserves its own mention. It's all kind of beat to death already. So we left off talking about the clones and the situation with that. Obviously, that was kind of a real kick in the shins for a lot of fans, especially when Hyrule Warriors, which came years before, was just frankly a lot better in kind of all suits in that regard. But something else that you kind of want to think about, I guess, when you consider like how good the game actually was, is the character designs. All the character models look really, really good. You can tell they kind of pre-recorded some animation for like simulated cloth in the wind for each character and their cape or whatever. Corrin comes to mind. Their capes look really good when you're running and stuff. Some of the character designs where they already were promoted classes and then they have another promotion just so they, every character has a promotion kind of thing, gameplay wise. Those are incredibly extra. Frederick looks like his horse might as well just be like a big horse-shaped motorcycle. His armor is insane. Ryoma, Xander, Camilla, they all look kind of crazy. Azura and Olivia are okay, but still like some really extra character designs. They're kind of cool, but like, man, they are super loud. So, yeah, in general, the character designs, the way the models look, it's some of the best that Fire Emblem has ever looked, in my opinion. We're going to see how Three Houses kind of plays to that a little bit, like how it compares, especially since Koei Tecmo is working on Three Houses, which I found out the other day. It was very interesting. The other thing I wanted to go over a little bit was the kind of fourth wall breaks and quips and stuff they have between characters, but those kind of explain themselves. Some characters have cute interactions with each other. Sometimes there are fourth wall breaks where like they understand like kind of what the fandom thinks about the games and stuff, and you'll have like Pegasus Knight saying like don't overextend yourself, and it's kind of cute. Makes you feel like it wasn't a complete cash grab like some people working on this game, kind of like Fire Emblem, and that helped the game's case a little bit. The supports are a complete mixed bag. Half of them are like okay, half of them are just a little bit cute or like haha fourth wall breaky, and then some of them are just like bad. Some of them are just terrible. They had so many unique opportunities to do something with characters that don't normally get to interact, and they just kind of like did the worst with it. In particular, I think of Sakura and Olivia's support was one of the worst supports I've ever seen in Fire Emblem. Another big problem with the game, a lot of the time is spent in history mode. And history mode, it's kind of sold on you like, go play out through these scenarios or whatever. But there's only like a handful of like dialogue sequences in each like history map, and those things take forever to clear. And like a lot of times you have to go back and do missions a couple of times because of the Anna's Mementos, which complete a big puzzle piece or a big, each one of those is essentially like a puzzle piece. And then once you get all like 16 of them or whatever, then you get to play like a level that actually has some of the history mode scenario context like woven into it. And it's like, why can't more of the history mode maps actually have like any kind of context? This would make the entire game a lot better. But it feels like it's the kind of thing that should motivate you with story bits, and the story bits are just absolutely not worth it. So that made this game kind of like, it was really good for killing time, but it's also kind of almost a secondary task. Like I could play this game while like watching YouTube videos kind of in the background or listening to a podcast or just like chatting with my roommates or something. So yeah, that history mode was the bulk of the experience for me. And while it was fun when it was challenging, admittedly, there were some maps that really kind of push you, where it really kind of makes you remember that there is a little bit of strategy involved. But in general, a lot of them were just kind of like to kill time, and that was okay. I still enjoyed the core gameplay loop enough, but at the same time, it doesn't have me like playing for days and days on end. So the story mode probably shouldn't be completely skipped over, but believe me when I say that it is the absolute minimum, and it knows that. Here's a breakdown I wrote for how the story mode goes. Number 1, bad guys invade. Number 2, you go through Awakening Abridged to get Awakening characters on board. Number 3, you go to Fates Abridged to get Fates characters on board. You move the actual plot just a tiny bit. You get bailed out by Shadow Dragon characters. You go to the end of the game. Everybody goes back to their own worlds and stuff, but their bonds are forever. So it's kind of like, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse got a similar kind of thing, except it's handled very well, and this is handled very poorly. It doesn't like aggravate me openly. It's not like it's so bad it makes me mad, but it's just like, honestly, like if you gave it like zero context and just said everybody lives in the same world, that would have been fine with me. I think a lot of players might have felt the same, but I can't speak for everybody. The way that stats were implemented in this game was a little bit weird. There were things like strength, magic, and strength and magic were basically useless because the weapons ended up being. I have a statistic written somewhere in this script. Basically, for even the strongest characters, their strength or magic stat only contributes about 20% to their total attack power. So that's Minerva and Lind both have like ridiculously high magic and strength. But the weapons, like the strongest weapons you get, do like 720 damage. So like it doesn't really matter. Luck is the big boy stat in this game. It handles like a lot of like procs and drops and stuff. So characters with the high luck are usually the characters that end up doing the best. So Sita, for example, I think is depending on the build you have, can be the best Pegasus Knight because the way Luna works in this game, you just ignore like luck divided by 4% of the enemy's defenses, and that's huge. Movement, I wish they had more variance in movement, or you could like it would go up when you promote, or there were boots or something in this game that you could use, or like a boots crest you could unlock, but there's not. Here's how movement works. If the character is on foot, it's 5 unless it's Tiki, in which case it's 6 or 8 if she's in Awakening. Frederick is 10, Xander is 15, and all the flying characters are 20, and that's about it. So it's kind of like, like why even have this as a stat? I guess it's just to parallel the main series better, but I wish they did more with that. Skill increases critical hit and special damage, which is it's okay. I wish that some skills like actual, like Luna, Ash, or whatever, had an activation based on skill, but whatever. Like, what are you gonna do? I guess so. There are a ton of other things in the game, that I didn't quite cover. One of the things is the weapon augmentation system. I think it's kind of annoying how you just constantly get new weapons and stuff, and I spent a lot of time just like dropping weapons, but I'm kind of a pack rat, so I had to be like, oh, this one has this special effect or whatever, and it was a little bit tedious. I wish you just unlocked like the the augmentations or the augments or enchantments or whatever you want to call them for the weapons, and you could apply them for gold, because that's pretty much what you do anyways. If something's like very valuable, like then let me unlock it and let me pay a lot of money to apply it. But it was really annoying. Like, after a while, I have like 100 weapons in like every one of the categories. So I would just spend like up to 5 to 15 minutes after a battle just trying to get rid of unnecessary weapons. But whatever. The game, I mean, there's so many other things about this game that are just kind of like, or like, like, I feel like I really do enjoy the game, but like it could have done so much better. And I think like I really enjoy like seeing Fire Emblem in a different context, and I do think the way Warriors is kind of a strategy game is actually pretty cool. But on the other hand, it really leaves a lot to be desired. I was hoping for more from the DLC. If there was a Fire Emblem Warriors 2, I hope they would give it a better treatment. I don't think they're going to make it, but maybe with Intelligent Systems' new relationship with Koei Tecmo and developing Three Houses, maybe there will be one. In any case, soon I'm going to play Hyrule Warriors, and I'm going to figure out... Oh, excuse me. Oh, my gosh. This is the kinds of things we deal with when we do one take. So, hopefully I'll play Hyrule Warriors someday, and I'll see, how much better it is and, like, never go back or something. But as for now, like, I do enjoy playing Fire Emblem Warriors. Even when I was capturing footage for this series, I did enjoy, just playing it for a little bit. I got kind of a... it's really easy to get sucked in. Like, it's kind of like cutting grass in Zelda. Like, look at all these, like, soldiers, and you just want to cut them down, and you want to get the high score and stuff like that. It was really difficult, admittedly, because I had to record clips 30 seconds at a time using the Switch's native clip capturing kind of functionality instead of having a capture card, because I didn't want to go in like $200-ish for a video series that I might not even finish, as we can kind of see the compromise here. But yeah, basically, the long story short, if you enjoy Fire Emblem and you like action games a little bit, this game is definitely worth checking out. Perhaps on sale if you're not like a huge fan of the series. But I really did enjoy my time with it. It has a lot of flaws, and there are a lot of ways it could have been improved. But all in all, like it's still a game that made me like really happy to play it. I never felt, if I ever felt like my time was being wasted with it, I would just put it down. And it's the kind of game that allows for that kind of gameplay. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the series. We're going to see if I've got a little bit of a new setup going on with my computer, my recording stuff. So we're going to, by we, I mean me, trying to get out videos about different topics, probably going to stick to things related to games and stuff like that. Definitely want to do a little bit on Smash Ultimate, despite the fact that it came out almost 3 months ago now. But better late than never, right? So if you enjoyed this video, thanks, I guess. I don't want to be, one of those YouTubers. So I really appreciate you coming around and watching it. Really just, it makes me feel good to kind of produce these things, give me a creative outlet. So thank you so much for supporting me in any way. I appreciate it.